All right, we're going to start multiplication, and I'm going to start off with the lowest numbers and then work our way up. So grade 3 is responsible for knowing times tables up to like 5 times 5, basically. You could always go further and know all the 5 times tables up to 5 times 10. But we're going to focus on these, and I will have some challenge activities for those students that can do above the required grade 3 multiplication. So starting out, we're going to start multiplying by 0 and 1. Now, what I always want to mention is whenever you see the multiplication symbol, that means groups of. Okay, and I've pointed it out a few times, so I'll just do that to remind you. So this says 7 groups of 0. Okay, so just try to always read it that way, and it'll help you with drawings. To help you come up with the answers. And if you just always do that and are consistent with thinking of as groups of, then it'll be a lot easier in the long run, I hope. So, starting with multiplying by 0. So multiplying by 0, the answer is always, always, always 0. So as simple as that, okay? So here's an example, 7 times 0 equals 0. So I've drawn 7 groups, okay, because it's 7 groups of 0. So I have 7 groups with nothing in them. So how much do we have in total in those groups? 0 or nothing, okay? So here's another way showing it. I have 0 times 1 equals 0. So it doesn't matter, even if we write it the other way. You can do this with multiplication, just like addition. You can reverse the numbers. It means the same thing. So this says 0 groups of 1 equals 0, and this says 1 group of 0 equals 0. And like I said, it always equals 0. Okay, even with bigger numbers, doesn't matter. 132 times 0, it's going to be 0. I'm not going to draw 132 groups of 0. Okay, so you can just imagine 132 groups of nothing equals nothing. Okay, so that's where the groups of comes in. All right, well, let's move on. So multiplying by 1, the answer is always the other number. So we've got some examples here. So 5 times 1. So the answer is the other number, which is 5. So 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 1, the answer is the other number. And in this case, it doesn't matter. The answer is 1. This is the only time where multiplying by 1, the answer will be 1. Okay? A lot of students get mixed up and think that the answer is always 1. No. Okay, it's always the other number. Some bigger numbers, 24 times 1, it's the other number, 24. Now an example from above, so this is where you got to think about the rules, right? It's always the other number, and multiplying by 0 anyways, the answer is always 0, okay? So I've drawn a picture here just to remind you about the groups of, so this says 5 groups of 1. So I have 5 groups. Those circles are my groups, and I put 1 in each. So if I counted up those, how much are in those groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we get the answer 5. So this is where the groups of can come in handy, especially with some bigger multiplication. Okay. One other thing I wanted to point out is that this is the same as going 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. All right, so I have 5 ones, and that's what this says, 5 groups of 1. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, and there's 1 in each. So multiplication is a faster way to add. So instead of writing out like this, we can just say 5 times 1. And we get the same answer. It means the same thing. So it's like skip counting or just repeated adding. That's what multiplication is, okay? But it's a little quicker. And what happens a lot of times is people eventually memorize the multiplication, and then it comes a lot quicker, okay? We're going to start off, nice and easy and drawing groups just to make it sink in a little more, hopefully, okay? So that's it for multiplying by 0 and by 1. Just a reminder, right? Multiplying by 0, the answer is always 0. And multiplying by 1, the answer is always the other number that you're multiplying by. All right.